Willkommen zu Max und die SupplyChainHelden, deinem Unternehmer-Podcast zum Thema Einkauf und Logistik im digitalen Wandel. Gedanken, Erfahrungen und vor allem Erkenntnisse aus dem Bereich Supply Chain Management, ganz ohne Beratermission. Einfach verständlich, eben aus Unternehmersicht. Ich bin Max Meister und wünsche euch viel Spaß. Willkommen zu einer neuen Folge von Max und die SupplyChainHelden. Heute habe ich Andrew Larson von der Firma Gustave A. Larson im Interview. Das ist ein Kühltechnik- und Klimatechnikhändler aus Minnesota. Die Firma ist insgesamt wahnsinnig gut organisiert und was ich besonders spannend finde, ist, was für Techniken sie gefunden haben, um Wert in der Supply Chain zu generieren. Und das geht so weit, dass die Strategieberatung machen für ihre Kunden. Insgesamt ein etwas längerer Podcast. Was wir etwas ausgespart haben, ist die Geschichte der Firma. Deswegen möchte ich das kurz nachholen. Das ist auch ein Betrieb, der im Moment in der 3. Generation geführt wird und sehr lange Tradition hat. Auf jeden Fall finde ich super spannend, wie die sich entwickeln und wie strukturiert die vorwärts kommen. Also, viel Spaß und wie immer, wenn ihr Feedback habt, schreibt an max@supplychainhelden.de. Yeah, so welcome to a new episode. Today I'm sitting in the beautiful city of Boulder, and next to me is Andrew Larson. He is CEO of Gustave A. Larson, and I think it's a very interesting company and an interesting history. And before I start telling everything, maybe you introduce yourself, Andrew. Who are you and what are you doing?
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and happy to share. It's so wonderful to have you in Colorado visiting us. Just talk a little bit more about myself. I actually grew up in Wisconsin, actually grew up working in our business in high school. So I had a little taste of it then, although I then, at that time in my life, wanted to be a doctor. So I went through our university system thinking I wanted to be a doctor. I grew up and doing work with a lot of internships and watching a lot of surgeries with my neighbors who were orthopedic surgeons, and even got into med school. But at the last second, I decided to go almost do a gap year, and I worked in investment banking in New York City and loved business. And so I ended up staying and working in business. And then I then went to business school after working in New York City and met my wife there, which was wonderful. Went to Northwestern University to the Kellogg Graduate School of Management. And as that has a strong focus on marketing, I then worked as a product manager for a medical device company in the Bay Area. It was a division of Eli Lilly, and it was interesting for me to have those two experiences, working in investment banking in New York City, where the culture was all about the deal. There was no organizational development. It was all about getting the deal done. There was high pressure and tactics and not very good management, frankly. Okay. Learned how not to, lead a team and a company. But by comparison, when I worked for Eli Lilly, they, to their medical device company that I worked for called Advanced Cardiovascular Systems, they made sure that if you wanted to be promoted, you had to go through human resources. Mm-hmm. It was all about the people. They were a company with 1,000 engineers, and they made sure that every engineer went through communication skill training, presentation skill training where they were videotaped. They realized the engineers that had this reputation for maybe being more introverted, not being able to communicate, they wanted to focus on this, so they also sent them to something from a company here in the US called Wilson Learning, which is called VSP, stands for Versatile Salesperson. They would make sure that that person, and especially the engineers, knew their personality style, but also how to identify what someone else's personality style is like and how to interact with that person if they're an expressive or a driver or an amiable. And
okay,
so that was super interesting.
Okay, so I see why you have now a very well-organized company, because you combine maybe the best of two different worlds. So
yeah, I think it's really shaped who I am today. I think all of us, our experiences growing up, and it's helped us to make sure we really are focused on having a high-performing culture with the right people in the right seats in the organization, but having managers that care, having strong middle management, and making sure that we are creating a team of leaders. And that's what our process is about, and I know we'll talk more about that later.
Okay, so you're now CEO of your family-owned business. So how did you come to this? How did it work, and when did you start?
Well, after my experience working for the medical device company, we actually... my wife and I were about to have children, and there was an opportunity at the business. And growing up, wanting to be a doctor, I never thought I would want to be involved in the business. But had worked outside the industry now for almost 9 years. 9 years, almost 10 years. And I realized that our family business is a tremendous opportunity. And it's, we're based in Wisconsin, in the U.S. and the Midwest, and there's something we say in the U.S. about Midwest values and being salt of the earth, and I really felt like that was a great place to raise kids. So my wife and I said, let's go try working for the business and see what it's like. And if we don't like it, we can always go somewhere else. We've worked somewhere else for the past almost 10 years. Yeah. And we went back, and the industry that we're in, HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and also refrigeration, primarily commercial refrigeration, has kind of a reputation for being a little more mature in our country. And I really wasn't sure what to expect. It doesn't have the most dynamic image. But I must say, coming into the industry, it's been fascinating. It's been fun. There's tons of change. It's been super interesting. And it's kept me engaged, and I love it, frankly. So it allowed me to kind of turn it into the role that I have today as CEO. But I started off working in marketing and sales, and from there went to being a VP, and then being promoted to president and chief operating officer. And then in approximately 2006, I became CEO. Okay. And so I've been that for the last 13 years, and it's interesting. I work with my brother, and so the two of us. Our father passed. He was, a legend in our industry, but he passed about 7 years ago in 2012. My brother and I run the business, and it's interesting with our roles today. In 2006, we named him president and chief operating officer. So he is responsible for our leadership team, and everyone that used to report to me historically reports into him. He's responsible for running the day-to-day business of the company and making sure we execute our annual plans and our quarterly rocks. He reports up into me as CEO, but we use a process, which we can talk about later, called EOS. It's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and there's a book written about it called Traction. So some people say EOS, some people say Traction, so we can use it interchangeably later on. Yep. But with our process, he really is what's called our integrator, responsible for executing our plans. I am what's known as the visionary. So although my formal title is CEO, I'm really more the visionary. And my role in the business really is to make sure that I am focused on what's happening 5 to 10 years in the future. Are we headed the right direction? I want to make sure that we are bringing new ideas and innovation to the business. I'm very focused, obviously, as a result then on our strategic planning and our board of directors, which is a whole different topic, which we love, having an independent board of directors. But for me also, it's about our accountability, it's about execution, it's about new acquisitions, new opportunities, new ideas. And so for me, that really is more my role.
Okay. To get a better understanding, maybe we have to describe your company. So you're a HVAC distributor and also in refrigeration. Can you say something about the figures? So maybe we start, what kind of turnover you make and how many employees do you have?
Sure. Well, our business today, we have just under $300 million in revenue, as we call it, in turnover. Yep. We've got about 450 employees approximately. That number is fluctuating all the time. We have 53 locations, and we serve about 20 different states throughout the Midwest and western part of the United States.
Mm-hmm. How many distribution centers do you have?
So we have 3 distribution centers. We've got our own fleet of trucks that distribute product between the DCs. We also, though, have daily delivery trucks at all of our locations as well. Okay. We also have education centers. We call them learning centers for training at all the locations as well. And to give a little more statistics in the business too, we have probably about 700 manufacturers we work with, and about 60,000 SKUs. That being the case, we still have probably 20 suppliers that are the majority of the business that we really focus very strongly on. Although we focus on many of them, we actually do something for our suppliers, which is interesting. A little side note, we do a program called PEAK, which stands for Partners in Excellence and Quality, and we rate all of our top 50 suppliers and have conversations with them how we can better serve in a win-win fashion to our customers. And then we also have in our local branches, we have realistically, most of those SKUs are kept in the DCs for quick delivery, overnight delivery to the locations if they need it. But we probably have 12 to 15,000 SKUs in a branch location.
Okay, this would be my next question. So you have 12,000 in your branches, about 60,000 in total. And what service can you deliver, and if it's needed? So a customer orders today, somewhere close to a branch. When does he get his products?
Well, so it depends on the business. It's interesting. In refrigeration, because a commercial refrigeration system at a grocery store, supermarket, or a convenience store is made up of many different parts and pieces. When there's a failure, they need that system up and running. They don't want the food to go down in a grocery store overnight. And so as a result, we have many locations, so the original philosophy was so that we're located no more than 4 hours away from any grocery store, if you will. So when a case goes down, our customers can get product immediately. Okay. In that situation, oftentimes in refrigeration, that customer's coming to our branch and picking up that product. Okay. And so they can get it same day, and they need to get back to that site and fix the product. We also, though, on the HVAC side of the business, it depends if our customers oftentimes plan their installations throughout the week, and so we will then deliver to them. If they have an emergency service, they'll come to the branch often, or we'll have expedited delivery, 1 hour, 2 hour, same day. But oftentimes it's delivery, on a weekly basis on our own trucks to that customer as well. And some branches may have 70% pickup and 30% delivery. Some may have just the opposite, 70% delivery and 30% pickup. Depends, because we have locations in maybe Chicago or Denver or Salt Lake City in a metro or Minneapolis, where you're in a city and they also expect delivery because there's more competition that delivers, whereas you have locations maybe in the Dakotas where it is miles and miles, hundreds of miles between locations, and those customers, surprisingly, even though you think they'd want more delivery, oftentimes will come pick it up a lot of the time as well.
Okay. You mentioned different customer segments. So to understand your business model a little bit better, can you describe these customer segments and maybe how much or a percentage of your revenue you have in these segments?
Sure. So a little history again as well. My grandfather founded the business. His name was Gus Larson back in 1936, and our business was founded in commercial refrigeration. And that really was most of the business, and he started doing joint ventures back in the 40s with motor shops, and that got us involved with rewinding of motors and into the HVAC parts business. That turned into HVAC equipment in the 1960s, and we added two other segments then, which was residential HVAC and also commercial HVAC.
Residential HVAC means for private housings? Or
correct. What? So we'll do anything in a residential private house, from radiant systems to solar thermal systems to water heaters for heating and cooling, but then we'll also do forced air systems, so a furnace and air conditioner along with all the sheet metal, the thermostats, the zone control systems. In addition, we'll do mini split systems. We also do and that's on the residential side. Really anything that will heat or cool a house. And then on the commercial HVAC side, we will call on the mechanical contractor. They typically are many times a larger company, have engineered systems. They don't just do replacements of maybe rooftops as an example, but we also do installs there with plan and spec, as they call it, or design build projects with a customer. We'll do, again, rooftops, building automation systems, VRV system, which is variable refrigerant flow systems. They're basically new systems that have come out of Asia. They're all throughout Europe as well, just coming to the US, where you have simultaneous heating and cooling. So they're much more efficient. And instead of running a VAV box, which is a variable air volume box with air to a location in a commercial building, you're running a line set and heating and cooling through the refrigerant flowing in that line set. So it's a new product. We represent a company called Mitsubishi, and they have a product called City Multi to get a feel for what they do. That's their VRF system.
Okay, when we go one step backwards, when we talk about the SKUs, how big of a size are these SKUs?
Yeah, it's interesting because we have a variety of products. If you go, and in the refrigeration segment we mentioned earlier, we will work with supermarkets, convenience stores, cold storage facilities. There you have very heavy compressors that run a system. So the compressors are very large and big and heavy, and then you've got a lot of smaller things from TXVs or thermostatic expansion valves. You've got piping and insulation. We may have 20-foot-long lengths of copper pipe that has refrigeration that goes through that to cool the refrigeration system. So you have small parts to long pieces of pipe to big, heavy compressors. If you go to the commercial HVAC system, you've got big, huge tonnage rooftops from 3-ton rooftops to 25-ton rooftops that, can be, it's hard for me to convert in my brain to meters, I suppose, but probably, 4 meters by 3 meters.
Okay.
I mean, pretty large.
Yeah, this was one thing when we were talking last year, when we met on the conference, I was thinking about how difficult the logistics all around the different products would be, because there are not so many companies that really have logistics from very small to very huge, big parts.
Right. And we'll talk about some of the value we offer, maybe with some of that as a result. But that's why, we can't ship everything maybe through in the U.S. through UPS or FedEx or DHL, because they're not all small parts. We have to have our own trucks and our own ways of handling those. And then on the residential HVAC side, there's furnaces and air conditioners, and then there's other smaller parts from air filters to pads and line sets and whips and disconnects and other things that are parts for a residential HVAC system.
So before we come to the services you add in the supply chain, maybe a couple of sentences more about your company. So I think that you have very well executed in all the planning things and how to describe your people. And you have one thing that it's called our Larson values. And I think it would be interesting if you can describe it a little bit more.
I'd be happy to. For us, again, we'll discuss it later with EOS and Traction, but for us, it's all about, it starts with why for us. And why are we doing this? And we have a core purpose in our business, and we want to make sure that our people understand that we're doing something that's larger than us. And so for us, we've got a couple different things. I mean, our core purpose is we're in the heating and cooling business and the refrigeration business. Mm-hmm. We like to say we're actually in the comfort and clean air business or in the food preservation business. Everyone needs some of that, every single person. So our business touches everyone. It's much larger than simply selling a box across the counter. That's very important. And so we want to make sure that our purpose is to help all the people in our local communities, and that really is where our core purpose comes from. But then stemming from that is our mission and our vision. And our vision really is to make sure that we are the most respected partner. We want to aspire to that, to really serve our customers with extraordinary service and innovative solutions. But then what we're doing today is our mission. And that is we contribute to our customers' success. We want to make sure we're carrying the absolute best products and partners in the industry. We want to make sure that we offer valued business solutions. We'll talk more about that shortly. And through that, providing a win-win opportunity with all of the stakeholders, not just us as shareholders, but with our customers and our suppliers and our team members. And so that really is what our mission is. And how we operate is we want to make sure everyone lives our company values. And our values kind of spell Larson, so everyone understands that. We've taken some liberty here with the last couple of ones, but our values are, to spell Larson, are learning, attitude, results, service, collaboration. We use the O with the CO to spell Larson, and then integrity, we kind of say for the N, to spell Larson, Larson. But then to make sure that we are, that everyone understands these, we give everyone a wallet card. You're looking at a copy right now. So everyone carries it with them. They have this, we kind of call it a get out of jail card, but we're like, we want to empower you to do the right things for our customers that live our values. And if you do something, we've done many things in the business and they've always been done that way because that's the way we've done them, but we want you to think for yourself. If you see something where we're maybe taking an extra step or being inefficient or making a mistake, and we want you to do the right thing for the customer, and we're going to, later on, as long as you're living our values, fine. Yeah. It's fine to make mistakes, and we want to embrace mistakes and challenge you to learn from them, and we can see if we need to do something differently in the future. But our values each have 3 core principles behind them. And so we actually have, in the business, we look at everyone with how they live our values and how we define each of these. I won't read all of them, but as an example, under attitude, we will say, is someone positive? Are they humble? Because it's not about us, it's about our customer. And are they friendly? That to us is how we define our value of attitude.
So I will share a link in the description.
Sure.
Where because you have them also on your homepage, I think. How do you assure that the people you have really live up to these values and the leaders of these people really talk to all the employees and be in contact and really have a feeling for this?
So we'll talk more about that later, I think, when we talk about Traction and EOS.
Okay.
But when we hire someone today, every single person in the company, whether it's a prospective employee or an existing employee, we use something called Culture Index. And it's more of a personality profile to understand what is your personality like and how do you fit in our culture. And so that's the first step to make sure that they're the right fit in the organization in terms of on the hiring process. In addition to obviously all the other regular interview questions and process. But once they're part of our organization, we want to make sure that we have the right person in the right seat. So we have an analysis we call RPRS, right person, right seat, where we actually look and analyze everyone in the business. And EOS calls it the people analyzer as part of our process. But we look at and grade them. Do they live up to our values? And it's a very simple tool where if they live up to our values, that particular value, each one of the Larson values, we rate them for each one, they get a plus minus, or a minus. Okay. And a plus says, do they live, this value all the time? They get a plus. Do they live the value most of the time as a plus minus? And, do they seldom or rarely exhibit this value, and that's a minus? And we have a grade and a level for all of these. And if someone has 2 plus minuses, they're below the bar.
Below.
If they have more than 2 plus minuses. If they have 1 minus, they're below the bar. And we have to have a discussion. Okay. We have quarterly conversations with everyone as well about this, and then we put an action plan in place based on this. In addition to looking at all the values, we look at 3 other things, which to our process is called GWC, but it's does that employee get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity to do it? And that is simply a yes or no. And if any one of those is a no, then it might be the wrong person in the right seat.
Or
right?
the wrong seat.
Or the right person in the wrong seat. And so we'll have another conversation about that. They may exhibit our values, and we want them to be part of the team. We just may have to move them to a different seat. But there's a lot of things we do to make sure, in a very simple way, that they are, the right person in the right seat.
So maybe we now discuss a little bit about the services you do and the value you add with your people to the supply chain, for your customers and also maybe for your suppliers. So when you go on your website, you see many services also listed up as value add. So what is maybe something that is making you unique or where you're very good in?
Let's take a step back first, I guess. There's 3 things that we have in the business. We call them our 3 uniques. And so we actually, and you can see this on our website as well, but we have 3 uniques in the business. And the first one really is, we call it setting a new standard. But it really, to keep it simple, is we want to make sure that we are progressive, we are on the leading edge in our industry to our customers and bringing them new ideas, new opportunities, and new value add. So that really is the first thing with our first unique. Our second one is making it easy, and to make sure that we are making it easy for our customers and all the different things that we do, from delivery to pickup to the product to the information we provide to them. And the last one is our unique, as we say for us, it's personal. We want to show our customers that we really care. We care about them as people, helping them develop, helping them grow, helping them make more money. And we'll talk about that with our values as well. But those are our 3 uniques, and some of our other competitors may have 1 or 2 of those, but we don't think they have all 3 of those. And that's what is unique from our value perspective and how we talk about it and give examples for each one of those with our customers. In terms of why we're unique in each of those areas. So,
okay, and
we can talk about each one of those.
Yeah,
why don't I do that maybe?
Yeah.
So let's start with the first one.
Yeah.
In terms of setting a new standard. we are trying to make sure that we are at the cutting edge with regard to helping our customers grow their business. So we often, it depends which segment, but let's say with our residential HVAC customers, we'll work with them at the beginning of the year and help them develop a business plan for the year. And that way we can understand where they want to focus, and also it can help our team members be accountable to helping our customers with their business throughout the year.
What kind of company would be such a customer?
So as a subset of our residential HVAC customers, we sell to customers, we also sell to dealers. And dealers, we have some key HVAC brands in the business, from Trane and American Standard to Rheem and Ruud to Armstrong. And so we will set up dealers with these different organizations. They will wrap their business around this brand. And as a result, we do additional things with them on the learning side and the education side, to also on the business plan and business development side. So that's really what those dealers will take some of those extra steps to help them. As an example, we will also help them hire and train what we call RSPs, or retail sales reps. These are people in the selling organization for our dealer. That's a way we can help develop our existing customers and help them grow. So that's something that's different than what other people do. In addition, there's other things. So let's go to some of the other uniques. If we go to making it easy, one example of one of our values on the commercial HVAC side is we have, not everywhere, but in some key markets, we have crane trucks. So we'll go to a customer, historically that mechanical contractor, if they wanted a commercial rooftop installed as a replacement, they would then have to schedule with us for the delivery of the rooftop to the job site, and they would then schedule separately with a crane company to meet at that exact same time to crane and take off the old rooftop and then put the new one on. We have now said, listen, let's make it easy for you. We offer a crane truck delivery service. We will now, you don't have to schedule and coordinate with two different companies. We'll take care of it. We'll meet you at the job site when you want. We'll deliver that new rooftop. First, though, we'll take off the old rooftop as long as the refrigerant's been taken out. We will then also put the new rooftop on for you, and then we'll take that old rooftop back to the, to be recycled for you.
Yeah, sure.
So that's an example of how we're trying to find new value to make it easy
for the customer. Yeah.
For the customer.
Good example.
And then the last one, being
unique, or
no, it's that for us it's personal. We care.
Sorry. Yeah.
So as part of that, with those dealers, as an example, we'll offer educational sessions, sometimes with our internal people, many times with an external third-party consultant or educator that comes in. One company we partner with called BDR, Business Development Resources, has a great learning session for our customers. And for us, it's about helping our customers make a double-digit net profit. And this is a great reason why they want to learn more from us, because if you go back to our industry, most of our contractors, 80% of them, have probably $800,000 to $1 million in revenues, and they make a 2% net profit. And our job is, how do we help you grow your business and get over certain walls or stages in your business, and how do we help you go from a 2% net profit to a double-digit 10% net profit, so you can reinvest back in your people and your company and yourselves. And so this is a big part of how we add value. Many of our contractors grew up carrying a toolbox. And they're like, I can start my own business, and they do, but they didn't know how to run their own business. And they're learning on the fly. So we've tried to find ways to help our customers understand financial statements, how to do job costing, how to help make a double-digit net profit, how to drive leads and growth in their business, how to add additional employees and be trained, like with RSPs. And so we have done different things like this along the way to add value. And so there's a lot of different areas that we do it as well. So we also are trying to be the consultant to our customers. And as this world is changing, we're adding new and different values and finding ways, because we don't always have expertise in those areas, so we're also bringing on third parties to help us. So as we move to a digital world, we're bringing on additional partners as third parties that we bring on to help our customers in many different ways. So we work with different companies.
If I understand right, all these logos were also found on your homepage?
Yeah, you can find some of these partners. We have some digital marketing partners we work with. But again, it's all about how do we help our customers with the digital future together, that we can consult them and say, here are different ways that these companies can help you. They can help you with SEO, which is helping get their web page, their search engine optimization be seen sooner. We're helping them with a company called Bluewing, as an example. We're helping them design their own website with other people we work with, and creating, e-commerce stores. We're working with a company called Intelligent Business Solutions to help really develop apps so the customers can actually sell at the kitchen table with easier and offer, we call it kind of a best, better, good strategy, where we want to make sure that we ask questions of the customers first to find out what that homeowner may want. And then we're designing a system that customer is for them that really meets their needs. So as an example, if a customer in their family has allergies or has pets, they may want to have, as a result, air filters to filter out some of the cat dander or the dust. Or they may want to have, if they do a lot of cooking, they may want to have an ultraviolet system to help with the odors and the spores and the bacteria. So we want to make sure we're providing the right solution through things like this for our customers and helping them present that with a e-commerce digital proposal solution at the kitchen counter.
So actually you're helping your distribution or your contracting customers to digitalize their business model.
Right. We're helping them to sell more.
On one hand, you consult him, try to run a business properly, and then you help them digitalize their business.
Exactly.
It's very interesting.
Exactly. And then also we work with something called Tech Connect, where we have the principals of our customers and we have relationships with them, but we also have their mechanics, their installers, their service technicians that come to our branch. So we also provide them different things, for mobile apps, different programs to make sure they can buy, because they have to oftentimes to buy their own tools to use on the job, not the company's tools. So we'll provide programs to help them as well. But we also have a new interesting thing. We work with a company called Search Kings, who is a partner of Google. So Google has a new platform called GLS, which is Google Local Services. And in the US, we've historically had the Yellow Pages. And that was where people found where you did business with someone. And in the future, people are going to the internet and Googling, where is that customer? So it's the Yellow Pages of the future. So we're helping, again, be the digital consultant to our contractor and dealer customers on the HVAC side primarily today to help them work with Google, GLS, be listed so they get the most leads. So we have a full presentation to them on, listen, if you can get this many leads a week, if you can convert this percentage of leads, this means this revenue for you, and that's a way we can deliver leads to them and these kinds of solutions that can help drive growth in their business.
Okay,
so that's an example of some value we can deliver.
Okay,
in this new digital
I think
world.
It's very impressive because this is a personalized service.
Yeah, right.
And it's not easy to do. You really need experts that go to the customer and talk with him, discuss where he is, where he want to go, and stuff like this. So I think it's a very impressive example of value-added services. Before we wrap up, maybe, very important is how you educate your people. So can you describe a little bit, when you have services like this, how do you train your people that they are able to do stuff like this? Because I guess it's quite different to selling HVAC 10 years ago.
It is quite different. We like to say versus training, we like to say learning and education. So we have learning centers at almost every one of our locations because we have to have education sessions for our customers there. We also use them to teach our employees as well. So we have a team on staff that helps teach our customers, with regard to not just sales and training and business, but also selling and servicing the product. But then we also have the inside portion of educating our employees as well. So we have a learning director on staff that helps with that, and we have different processes in the business with how we convey that information to them. We have something called SP2, which is kind of a process we call Sales Process 2, where we're teaching our sales team members how to ask the right questions and how to, we have something called ISP, a lot of acronyms, intentional selling process, that they use then these sales process SP2 tools in their intentional selling process. We also have something called SMX, another acronym, but it stands for Sales Management Excellence. It's kind of a customer pipeline tool we use to make sure all of our sales team members understand who they're calling on, which customers they're focusing on, both from existing customers, new customers, how often they call on them. We look at attrition, so if customers purchase less, we want to focus on how we can bring them back with the relationship. And so this process, through it, we have different education sessions for them. They meet weekly, they meet monthly, we have quarterly sessions, and through this, we're looking at not just the pipeline, but also educational sessions for them too, to get better at what they're doing.
Do you have an idea how many days a year an employee at Larson is learning, or is he learning?
You know, I think we have such a variety of people in our different stores, from counter salespeople to outside salespeople to inside salespeople to drivers and trucks. So there's no one set number, but and I don't have that number at my fingertips. I'd be guessing with you, but it's got to be realistically, you know, it sure seems like 20 to 30 days, depending.
Okay, that's a lot.
A lot. Yeah. It's a lot. We often sometimes think too much because we need them in front of the customer, you know, selling. And so all those little days that they take quarterly or weekly add up to a lot. Yeah, they add up to a lot, but I think you have a very well-structured company, and it only works if everybody is going in this direction. Right, and part of that is all of our outside sales team members, often store managers, they're also attending those learning sessions with our customers. And that's where those days start adding up to the 20 to 30 as well. So it's the internal ones plus the customer ones that all add up, and it's all part of that education process. So. Okay, so very interesting. Maybe as a last question, what do you see as a CEO of Gustave A. Larson for the next 10 years as trends or as interesting topics? Yeah, so that really is something that's super exciting, because we're in a world that is changing dramatically. And if I could steal a slogan from Elon Musk, it's something we look at, and he says we have to focus on accelerating the inevitable. And so we look a lot at what are the market trends, what's happening, and we're seeing a trend obviously towards digital, towards prescriptive analytics and artificial intelligence. We're seeing trends with electronic buying preferences. So as an example, you know, baby boomers were focused in more on personal relationships, and as we look towards, you know, these different groups of people coming forward with Gen X and millennials and Gen Z, they are doing things more online. So we've got to make sure we're moving with that ourselves. We're seeing a lot of the Amazon effect. People know what Prime delivery is, as an example, in the US, and so we're focused on making sure we can compete with 1 hour, 2 hour, same-day delivery and having these opportunities for our customers. We'll never be able to invest as much as an Amazon, as an example, but we have to make sure we have as flawless of a customer experience as possible, and then we're using our value add that we talked about before to build a trench around our business and our products and services to maintain that relationship with the customers. We are seeing, as we see to the future with people doing things more electronically, all of us, including our customers, are doing more research on products online, making decisions what they're going to buy online, and eventually that will take cost out of the sales process. So we're going to have to we'll probably see lower prices in the future as that component of cost is taken out. We have to be prepared for this to make sure we can sell things at a lower price and still make enough money to reinvest in our people and our business. And as part of that, I think we're also seeing in our surveys and from our industry consultant surveys that the outside sales consultants that we have today calling on our customers, that their function is being valued less because people are looking more online. And so we're doing a lot of those things, and we're looking at things right now to make sure we make changes. Right now, as an example, we are transforming our entire sales force to somewhat of a, you can call it an inside-out strategy, but you can also call it a team selling strategy. Very good. We've had customers today that ask us, you know, we had a recent customer trip, and they're like, I can't reach my outside sales consultant. How can I reach someone more? So we're looking now at doing something we call Team Gus, but we're actually going to do segmentation between the different segments we have today, from, again, commercial refrigeration to commercial HVAC, residential HVAC. We're also going to add a fourth component called services and solutions. And I'll talk about that more in a second, but we certainly recognize that we have to make sure we are continually changing and adding value add to our customers to make sure they want to continue to buy from us and that we're on that leading and progressive edge, as we discussed with one of our uniques. So today, many of our existing sales consultants provide all the different functions of a sales rep, both creating awareness with those customers, to capturing or getting new customers, to fulfilling orders, as well as retaining customers. And so with this new team concept, we're trying to make sure that we have our outside sales team members focused on bringing in new customers, focusing on that relationship, but then having their teammate on the inside as an account manager or a customer experience rep, handling a lot of those transactions and the fulfillment and the awareness, frankly, and making sure that it allows our team members to focus in the right areas of the business and be more efficient, and making sure that our customers always have someone they can reach, as opposed to someone that may be in a sales call.
I think this is a good development because you're very close to the customer, and the guy who's doing many, many things also knows the customer its best and how it's changing and how the needs of the customer is changing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And we call it omni-channel because, there's the team, there's face-to-face, selling. We will have specialists that help and support our outside team members as well. We'll have inside support in addition for quoting and doing projects and engineering. Some of the engineering may spill over into services and solutions in the future. We've got help with lead generation on the inside as well. So there's a lot of different components that will be part of this. And again, our customers asking for this, and so we're moving this direction and transforming our sales force as a result.
Mm-hmm. And can you maybe, to summarize, say a little bit about what your goals are for the future?
Yeah. So, the goals of the future, I think, revolve around the last segment I talked about, services and solutions. We've set goals in the future to make sure that we have and are developing value added for our customers. Today, the value we deliver is paid for by the customer in the form of the margin we get from that piece of product.
Yep.
We recognize, in order to help be to build the walls up, if you will, and build that trench around our business, to make sure we can Amazon-proof the business, to make sure we can compete in this new world, that we have to sell value to our customers that they're willing to pay for outside of our existing products.
Transactional business.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so we're setting goals to make sure we're creating and developing value, and that our customers, we've set goals with how much we need to have our customers be willing to pay for outside of our existing transaction business. We've already, we're looking right now to hire someone to lead up this team, and we recognize that's something that's going to be a really important part of our future as we go forward.
Okay. So last time we met, I had a presentation on a conference here, and you said to me that you are the third generation, and you try not to screw it up, and or that is the plan.
Yeah.
And I know that's also the same plan for Ludwig Meister. And when I see all your organizational change and development, I'm quite sure that this plan of yours will work. So I would guess. Thank you, Andrew. It was a very interesting story.
You're very welcome. And we see ourselves, my brother and I, as custodians of the business and protecting the legacy that our father and grandfather put forward. And I think we're really trying to make sure that we don't mess it up. And so for us, that means, how do we make sure we're accomplishing our goals?
Yeah.
And so we look at, how do we create alignment in the organization to go forward in the same direction? How do we make sure we have discipline and accountability so everyone's focused on doing that, which leads to executing our goals and making sure that we accomplish what we set out to do. Okay. And so that's really, I think, how we're hopefully not going to mess it up if we can accomplish that. And I think we'll talk more about that in the future
second.
too.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome. Thank you.